ملموسا. جلستنا القادمة سيستعرض فيها متحدثنا طرق غير معهودة في تصميم وتطوير وخلق الخطوط الطباعية والجرافكس ذات أبعاد متعددة بمواد وتقنيات فريدة من التصميم الجرافيكي والخط الطباعي، وذلك من خلال خبرته العميقة كمعلم وباحث ومصمم. He's an educator, researcher, and multidisciplinary designer, working currently as an assistant professor of graphic design at Iowa University at the US. His work has been featured by various media, including Communication Arts, Make Magazine, Core 77, Art Insider, and New York Magazine. As a design researcher, he's trying to figure out where emerging technology fit into artistic and creative practice by developing, testing, and experimenting with them. He has also incorporated my most loved technology, 3D printing, into his research and has been experimenting with variety of digital approaches as well as conventional and also unconventional materials. Please, let us welcome to the stage Mr. Tiekium Lee.
Hello everyone, thank you for the great introduction. And today I will talk about 3D printing for graphic design. Also, it's name of my project, Tangible Type. Before I start talking about my project, I have a question for you all. You're waiting for a friend outside a building and you have nothing to do. And you just grab a handful of pebbles. What you're gonna do? And this is what I did like about 10 years ago when I was in school. So it's really interesting because I didn't mean to make something very specific. Just I have some extra time, some extra materials. And this one shows how I think as a person, also as a designer. So simply, I think it's how I define the design. The designer's role and job is creating a meaningful order, like Victor Papanek says in his book, Design for the Real World. So, as I mentioned before, today's topic is about tangible type. This is the modular typeface I made when I was in grad school. It's part of my thesis project. I'm a designer, I'm an educator, I'm an artist. Sometimes I just like to be called a maker. And I'm teaching graphic design at Iowa State University in the US. I'm so happy to be here. Actually, yesterday I took about 30 hours of traveling to get to here. So I'm so grateful to be here again. Designers can use a variety of printing techniques to produce visual materials and to solve design problems. Many times, design is not just about creating something cool graphics. It's really about problem solving and actively seeking for creative solutions. Again, like it was part of the introduction. My research explores unconventional materials and alternate solutions to create tangible typography, graphics, and even sometimes designed object using digital fabrication. Mainly, lots of time it's 3D printing. I'm trying to develop, test, and find a place of the emerging technologies in design and creative practices. So I infused 3D printing into my practice. This one is my DIY printer is writing a letter. So simply using clay as an ink to write a letter. This one says love. And again, this one is everything is a ceramics. And you can see different letter forms. I have to build my own tools. And creating a tool is not easy, not always. This one is also me experimenting with different letter forms with my machine. I was a recent grad student when I graduated from school, and I really wanted to work with typography and ceramics. But I have no way to work with that because I'm a recent grad and I lost my access to all the facilities. I cannot use the ceramics studio. So I thought about maybe if I have a DIY printer at home, I can make my own letters and then I can keep working with the ceramic material. Actually, there's some behind the story about how a graphic design student get into ceramics. But if you are interested in it, please feel free to ask me after this lecture. So I decided to build my own tools. I'm a designer, but also I became a tool maker because I really wanted to do something with ceramics and 3D printing. So based on DIY printer, I customized it and I made a printer. Like you can see, it was in my office and it's in garage and other places. If you have worked with clay, probably you know clay is kind of really soft, squishy material, and it's a sensitive. So it's not really always easy. And normal 3D printing head is not going to work with the ceramics. So I need to find a way to work with that. This one is using the compressed air. So it's kind of like a pneumatic extruder. You open the valve, it's going to constantly shooting the material. But as I mentioned, I wanted to work with the ceramic material and typography. So I need to find a way to control the feed. So I designed my own clay extruder here. Probably you know 3D printing is also called rapid prototyping. So I designed my own screws and the nozzle. It takes a time, but I found the right design and I was able to print my pieces. Also, I made a little smaller size version for my students and for myself too. So I share the design plans with others too. If you're interested in it, you can find the plans. You know, again, working with the clay is not always easy. Like everything can be collapsed when it's wet, and often it shows some interesting outcomes. Like I stopped counting how many collapsed pieces I have produced for years. But there were some interesting pieces. Again, the clay is really soft when you're working with it. So it shows the non-linear character of the material itself too. Again, they're all made with the printer. So you can see little stroke and they shows really interesting texture and then you can actually touch it too. Again, they need to be fired too. Some story behind this piece is sometimes when I print it, when I pick it up, it just broke. So I found a way to work with it. Can you guess? Mm-hmm. Yes, it should be dry, and then when I pick it up, broke. So what I did is actually print on the kiln shelf. Pick up the shelf and then put it in the kiln and fire it, and now I can pick it up. Or what other ways I can print it on the paper, pick up the paper, and then fire it, because all the paper will be evaporates. So it will simply burn. So working with the new material and new process give you a challenge, some problems to solve, and your role is find a way. Sometimes it feels like I'm just walking in the kind of dense fog. It's just only I can see my feet, just moving forward. Sometimes I don't know it's the right direction, but I'm just keep moving forward. I also like working with different materials too. I'm originally from Korea, so I can speak at least 2 languages. So you can see some Korean, and there is Chinese, Japanese, and there are some Arabic letters. So friends of mine taught me a little bit about Arabic too. I know this means sugar. It's not made of sugar. It's not edible, but here is it. This one is a sentence, English sentence. And I will give you a minute to guess what it says. Again, this is a sentence. So I will show the answer here. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. So it's using all the letters. from A to Z. So if you study English, maybe you have seen this before. So here is it. This one is not really easy to read. But here is it. There will be multiple or more than multiple ways to write a sentence in dimensional space. In this case, three-dimensional space. But this is one of the possible way to write a sentence and simply stack the letters and then extrude it. I know this is not easy, so I will show you something else. Love, it's much easy, right? I was able to print this one, and it happens. I don't know, I was just kind of step out of my office for a minute, and then when I come back, it happens. I posted on my Instagram page, and someone leave a comment, and I love the comment. The person said, yeah, love is complicated. Just it gave me some idea. Like, think about it. L-O-V-E, the letter form, have nothing to do with the meaning of the love. Our language, our written language system is a kind of symbols and signs, and it doesn't represent anything about the word. So this is the experiment I made. Mass, and then you will see some transition from M-E-S-S to something else, showing using the printing quality. It's kind of at the bottom, it's messy. And can you see the transition to neat? So using the quality of the printing show the messiness to the neat. It shows a transition between two different languages. And then also using the meaning of the word. And again, I love typography and then working with different ceramics medium mainly. And I will show some other examples too. They all like normal clay, and then they need to be fired in the kiln. Actually, bisque fired and glaze fired. And unloading kiln is always a really interesting moment. Again, they're kind of normal clay, and when it's fired, you have to fire it over 1200 Celsius or 2232 Fahrenheit, and usually take overnight printing. This one is actually printed with PLA, bioplastic, and I call it like type vase. It's kind of more like vase-like shape. So if you know graphic design, we often call it font typeface. That's the family, but in this case, I tweak it and then call it type vase. So it's like a vase shape. All the letters are three-dimensionally extruded. This one is another one, says happy. Like H-A-P-P-Y are stacked together, make a three-dimensional letter form. Recently, it became a aluminum piece in collaboration with Eric Weflin. So he's a PhD student at Iowa State University. The machine is used to fabricate some like machine parts. And then he helped me to make it with the aluminum piece. It's heavy, it's big, but it's metal. If you're familiar with typography a little bit, often it's called typography could be still crystal clear, like Beatrice's word, poetic metaphor. Simply, it means typography, the letter form should be crystal clear, so it should be really easy to understand, because think about the crystal goblet. You know what's inside. But some examples I showed you is not really easy to read, right? So often people said, find typography often disappears, playing a supporting role. Typography is called invisible art. However, typography shows its physical substance in the real world, enabling a unique reading experience. Think about the quick brown fox thing. So it's not really easy to understand at first, because you're trying to figure it out. The experience, the challenge will help you to remember it a little bit longer. This one is another love. Clay is reusable if it's not fired. So this one is a bone-dry clay and then slowly sinking underwater. Simply what happens is it'll be dissolved underwater, and then you can remix it and you can print it again. But I just let it dissolve underwater, and this is the final outcome. Not really readable. But here, it's quite poetic, I think. It shows different aspects of love here too. magically I can pick it up, but it's rewinded the video, so the letter form can be even 4-dimensional, including the time as another dimension. Today I cannot talk about the other explorations I made with some ceramic objects. Sometimes I like to making some sculptural pieces too. Like those kind of exploration really always help me to be a better designer and better maker. I'm generally curious about the process and then what's going to happen if I do this, And the other piece is actually, it shows the collapsing. I call it collaboration with gravity, and we're going to show some more examples here. And again, like working with different shape, and can you see the color changing element there? So this one is a kind of collapsed piece. So I actively working with the gravity. Simply, I found collapsed piece shows its own beauty, and I just actively collapsing it. So that's why I call it collaboration with gravity. And actually brought some sample pieces. So if you like to see it, please find me after the talk or sometime later. So you maybe always people ask me, why ceramics? Why ceramics and typography? We need a little bit of time travel. If you know, clay is actually the first material our ancestors used to materialize the type. Clay was a paper. Our hands was a printer. At that time, actually, clay tablet was kind of high-tech printing technology of the time. And if you know the little bit of history, the little artifact cylinder-like shape is called a cylinder seal. So you can roll it on the clay so you can print something. So think about it, it's kind of around 3000 BC, people started printing something with clay. And then they find a unique way to print something. So working with ceramic and typography is quite meaningful. So inspired by the historic artifact, I made this device, 3D printed, and it has two rolls, one positive, one negative. You roll the empty paper, blank paper, you can print something. So it's kind of business printmaker. So I print something to print something. So it's kind of, you can see how I make a tool and tool makes something else. And I've made different versions for the event and special occasions or spread some messages as well. Sometimes I actually made an embosser print happy, and then a friend of mine has a little daughter, and she loves it. And then I gave her one, and then she brought it to the school and then printing happy. So she's spreading the happiness using the embosser. And this year, I actually made a special edition for this year's Tanwin, and maybe you can experience this one. Again, I have some samples, so if you like to try it, let me know. And also I'll share the file with Ithra so they can print and distribute it as well. Just this version using the zip tie, give a little tension, so yeah, it's a little printer. Using the idea, so this one is printing letters on clay, and not like paper, it can be fired, and also like this one, it's just still soft. It can be reshaped in different form as well. I'm a designer, and I love typography. I'm a Korean, so I use the Korean alphabet to design English alphabet too. So this one is kind of it became a collaborative project exploring kind of bilingual experience. If you know English, it looked like English alphabet. If you know Korean a little bit, it feels like, oh, okay, can I read it? So it is kind of really exploring the bilingual experience. I collaborated with Yeohyun An and Esther Jo. Actually, the one image on the left is a selfie using the processing code, and then she uses the mirror library. So using the letter form, and she took herself. It's kind of self-portrait image showing herself, her identity as a Korean American. The other one is a chair. It's made with wood and like paper pulp. And you can see the C shape there. And in Korean, it's called digut, which means like sounds like a D. So it's kind of full-scale functional chair. And I use this letter form to make soap and hand-pressed embossers and like some refrigerator magnet letter forms too. So design the typefaces, share the typefaces with other artists, designers, and they make something on their own. And also I make some artifact as well, some devices and letter forms, like which is tangible letter form. This was one of the most exciting demo in my class, printing peanut butter and chocolate on bread bed, and they're edible. So yes, you can print something and you can eat it. So after the demo, we actually take all. This first one is the 3D printed embosser, printed with the soft material. The eid is the planter, so I have been growing some basils in my office. The other one is printed the artist book. The no hate is a signage, so it fits to the standard railing system. Not like a sticker, you can just snap it out. You can remove it, you can move it around, you can take it too. Using the idea, I explored some possibility to make 3D printed signs. So put the stop hate sign under the stop sign, or I can put it in somewhere else. I'm still working on this project, and I need to find a way to work with some legal issues, how I should be able to put the sign in the public space. I'm working on it now. Locally sourced material is always very interesting material. So when actually I taught in North Carolina and in the US, they're well known for clay. So friend of mine helped me to dug up some clay from his property and separate the clay from the dirt and rocks and everything. And then I was able to get the fine clay and print it. Separating process is quite interesting. Let me just tell you quickly. Soak the clay underwater. Let it soak in the underwater for overnight. After that, you agitate it. Wait like 10 seconds. If so, the clay particle is lighter than the sand, so it's going to stay in the top part. Drain the water, and put more water, and agitate it, drain the top. Later, you will see the sand will be at the bottom. So I can get the clay and hang it in the air, in the pillowcase or something, so I can separate the clay and the sand. Often when I work with 3D printing, gravity is my enemy. Like, gravity doesn't really help. So I need to find a way to work with it. But in this case, actually, the gravity is my ally. I need to use how to use the gravity. The problem can be a solution, too. So appreciate the challenges. Limitation, constraints as well. Constraint is not a compromise for your design project, like Matthew Carter said in his presentation. This is the 3D printed wearable item, bracelet and rings. This one I have some Korean version and Arabic version. Can you see it? Is it readable? Okay, great, thank you. So this one is durable, wearable, and easy to produce at home. During the pandemic, I wasn't able to work with the ceramics much, so I started working with more conventional material like PLA, bioplastic. This one is a bookmark, and when it's printed in thin, it's quite flexible. And later, it became a class project this semester. I let my student make some like 3D printed type bookmark. One good thing about this one is you can have a little catch at the top, so you can put some symbols there. This one is also 3D printed using a software called Rhino and Grasshopper. Grasshopper is a node-based coding software. It's kind of coding. It's node-based parametric design software, so you can connect those nodes and then design some letter forms. It will help you to generate some letters, so you don't have to work with everything manually. This one is a letter form, and printed with the stainless steel. So the eye was kind of like distributed in 360 degree. So you have to see it like a cake, so you have to slice it, or pizza. Many designs can be homemade, but this one is actually designed it and sent it to a company called Shapeways. So the letter forms can be printed with steel or bronze. Again, like working with different letter forms and different technologies, and I will tell you more about the like OK one. It has some light there. This one is a Bubbly Letters. Same thing, like using Grasshopper and Rhino to generate different letter forms and then pick the one. And this is the, I've been working with I'm an actual beta tester for a company called Lightform. So they're making a projection mapping device. So it allows me to scan the surface and then project something on the letter form. And it was part of the exhibition in Chicago right before the pandemic. There is an exhibition called Typeforce Annual Typography Exhibition. Also, like in January, I had an exhibition at Milwaukee Institute of Art and Design showing the years of exploration with 3D printing and different materials. This is another collaborative project with my friends, and also maybe you have seen this climate spiral, which is the work, it's done by climate scientist Ed Hawkins, and then this piece was made with his permission. Basically, it's visualizing the global temperature for past 150 years from the January to December. And this piece is printed with color-changing material. So you can see the color changes from the bottom to the top. If you touch it with a warm hand or ambient temperature is 88 Fahrenheit, it will start changing the colors. This one is actually the inside of the printed piece. When I accidentally find it out, and inside of the piece shows really interesting geometry. This one originally is supposed to be a asterisk, like a star shape, a special letter, and this one shows really interesting characters and work with the light as well. Even the broken piece can be a piece of art. It's like a Batman shape. It's kind of accidentally broken, and it looked like a cave inside. Tomorrow, actually, I have a master class making soap. This one, during the pandemic, I started working with the soap at home and print something, make a mold, and make soap letters. And then, naturally, I'm a designer. I started making some package for this one. Packages made with the laser cut paper. It became a student class project for my students. They explore a different theme and letter forms, and then they made 3D letter form, and they make a soap, and they make a package. This is another device, drawing tool. So you're spinning it, you can make some letter forms. Not letter form, you can make some graphics. Using this one, this is the artist book. 100 drawings, and then I collected everything, and then bind them as a book format. Actually, I shared the 3D file with people, so if you'd like to try it, you can print it, and you can actually spinning it and drawing something. This is I printed 100 pieces and then installed it in the gallery for the exhibition. And I wanted people to spell the letters like this. And then guess what happens is this. They find a different way to play with the object. And then I love this kind of moment. So 3D printing allows text to be printed or materialized in the physical world using various materials. The tangible type amplifies visual and physical interaction, and even it can be playable. A designed object or type presents its own beauty as it is. However, the object also be a physical, playable toy or performative object, which is designed for a player's own winning. Actually, from the book called The Critical Play, whatever it means to them. My next project is investigating the nature of play and design playable object or toys. This is Korean, says, stay healthy. So I hope you all stay healthy. I share my work, so if you do have any questions, you can ask me, or you can reach me by email or my Instagram account. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lee. That was incredible. You made from letter something different that we wouldn't have imagined before. So I would like to take actually questions and comments from our audience. If anybody have a question. Just a second, she will give you a mic. You have to touch his head 3 times.
What is the future for 3D printing in business, especially these days?
That's an interesting question. 3D printing is not as good as kind of other production method if you do mass production, but it's really good for kind of customized, small, like quantity production. So maybe if you would like to think about one machine can make many different designs. So like customization will be the key for like commercial use of 3D printing, I guess. No, I like to explore. I'm a like educator, so I like to share this one. But I don't have a business really. But I like to like research more. Yeah, thank you. And probably I'm gonna think about. Yeah, actually, I have some ideas for some other plans.
Well, you already have clients. I think a lot of people would love to buy your product. Anybody has any question? We have a question from that side.
Hello. So my question is, you said that 3D printing causes a lot of like, and gravity is something that like really changes your projects, and sometimes like your projects collapse and stuff. Was there a time where your project collapsed or something happened to it and it actually turned into something really nice, or it brought a new idea because of the way that it like broke or turned into?
Yeah, actually that's how I started working with. I nicely printed and then let it collapse to make some other pieces. So that's I kind of find a way to work with it. So and
interesting.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, we don't have any more room for questions, but thank you so much for this inspirational talk. We really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much, and you can feel free to reach me out.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Thank you.